muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, muchísimas gracias to everyone for you guys' words, prayers, and for every word you guys express and send my way. De corazón, I appreciate every one of you. Thank you. I know on every video I sound like a broken record, but I'm real humbled by everybody. Gracias. Now, to get into the story on him. Today I want to touch on something a little bit different, but that I've been asked numerous of times, right? To kind of touch a little bit on it for two reasons. For one, the importance of paperwork, right? And opening your mouth. And the other, why I stick to what I personally live, right? And it kind of all becomes one, right? But as you guys know, I'm going to put it in a personal experience, right? And for this, allow me to take you back to Tehachapi, right? This was right the time where, you know, from the older vatos that per se knew what time it was, that I had gone out to the 180 yard on the order from Tio Chino, right? And basically, I got told on and removed and got snatched up, right? As you guys know, I do not want to retouch on things, but nevertheless, from there they took us first to one block, right? It's when all that surfaced with Diablo and Tecolote and all them, right? As I touched on it before. But then from there they shot us to A block, right? B8, which is the whole, right? At this time, during the time I was out, there was a couple homies, right? They were paisanos. They weren't from Mexico or, Chicanos or none of that, right? But it's not important. At the end of the day, they were from the same area when it came country wise, right? But they were homies. That shouldn't even be a factor, right? But anyways, they ended up getting snatched up amongst all of us, right? That they dropped kites on, supposedly that were gonna support me, cause I had word, right, to move on Judas, and somehow, some way, they found fierros in every single one of our cells, right? Which, we had orders to tell certain individuals to go ahead and take a hike, right? If not, then, it was boogie time. But anyways, you guys know the story. So when we get to A block, right off the gate, the homie Shadow from Garden Grove and the homie Sporty from Playboys, they were, like I mentioned, their families knew each other, right? So they have certain beliefs, right? So it all started in a visiting. I guess the homie Shadow's sister came in and she wasn't properly that way on their beliefs. She should have came in because there's other man, right? So Sporty out of line addressed it, and they used to fool around with each other. So, I know you could be misled to do something, but it's prison, right? You're not gonna always catch the next man in a good mood to play, right? It's why it was real rare, at least for myself, to play around even with a celly, right? But nevertheless, it happened, and the homie, when we came back out to the group yard, I was helping maintain order there, right? When it came to, I didn't have the whole, I was just helping get the proper names to where they were gonna get, and just basically keeping order, right? But nevertheless, I know better because I had experienced it already in Ironwood, right? So when we're out at yard, I see them, they're going back and forth, and you can see the tower, right? So I tell them, hey, look, just do, you guys can't be doing this. Now, if there's an issue amongst you two, you gotta either talk it out or just pull that paperwork in to do that cell move, right? But all this, putting it in front line can't be happening, right? It's just not our stilo. And second of all, what you guys is bad. You guys are gonna get a ricochet from there because there is no horseplay and you vatos are doing so, right? So just talk it out. But I guess they couldn't work things out, right? It reached an angle where Sporty, he basically said that Shadow had some smug on him, right? That in county jail, I guess he had told on some individual, right? So me right away, I always been that one that, I'm not gonna say I was well schooled, right? But I knew certain things, and I told the homie right away, hey, look, out of anger, don't do this, cause do you have the appeal, the papyrus stating this? No. So I told him, look, I ain't gonna bring it up to nobody, but came out your mouth, and you called the homie out his name with no proof. And there's a saying, el camarón muere por su propia boca, so you have to buck up. And it's how the homie Sporty was, right? He was underneath Psycho from Santa Monica, as mostly everybody, even a 180 is in touch with somebody, cause it's mostly all shoe kickouts. Well, at this time, right? But I addressed it. And I told him if Psycho hears about this and you didn't man up, backed up what came out your mouth, you're gonna be done. As I addressed Shadow, right? And if you allow Homeboy to call you this, you're gonna be done, right? Cause Shadow was a camarada. He was mellow headed, right? He'd been in the shoe, but he wasn't involved like that, right? He was more of a program type of individual, And I just told him, it's just something that cannot be let go because it got said amongst camaradas, right? And it's a no-no, period. It's something that don't come out your boca unless you have proof, right? But nevertheless, I advised the homie Shadow and I told him, look, you got a request to make this personal and you got a boogie with homeboy. Cause if you allow him to get away with him calling you that, then you're gonna get removed too. And I do not want to send this note back there, right? Cause Dio Chino's gonna say remove both of you, period. For being pancheros, right? And for speaking like a comadre from a vecindad on the next man just out of anger, right? So nevertheless, the move happened. Homie Shadow went up there with Sporty, and by this time I did not know that Sporty had already striken up an appeal and shut it down to Psycho, right? But of course with the angle that was favoring him, right? I guess at all time he was thinking that since Shadow wasn't in touch with the Billy that, it's a snake eat snake world, right? So probably figure ain't nobody gonna speak up for Shadow, period. And they went up in there and basically they got told they go ahead and just boogie and there's no need to get out of bounds, right? Just homie defend your pride like you're entitled to and you back up them words and don't speak about them again unless you come up with that paperwork, right? But a darle until Juan says ya estuvo and you sit down and you relax, right? You heal yourself as you're supposed to as a campolero, right? So they did, and Shadow got the best of the homie, right, from Playboys. And again, he was not happy, Sporty. Within time, we did another move because we didn't want him in the same cell. It got taken care of, and it was a done issue. It was a dead issue, right? In my book, no Billy heard about it because there was not going to be no pass for one for Sporty for implying that about a camarada when he's not even from the same county as a camarada, just cause he can, right? Cause he's seen the homie has less reach in him. So he pressed the issue, but here's the kicker, he pressed it on me. You know that, well, he made up this Pato Ventura, right? That, you know, something had happened and, basically I had shadow moved in with him and without advising him, I just had shadow move on him, right? And he was requesting to be looked into because he felt it was, he told Psycho this, that he felt it was because he was in touch with him. Basically, he was trying to wash me up, right? But, you know, at the end of the day, everybody was out there, right? And I was trying to at least have the homie do his thing and push on, right? But, you know, we took the correct angles, you know, with the correct people and it got back to Psycho and then just as I stated, right? They basically told me to go ahead and put 3 people on Sporty and remove him, period. That somebody with a big mouth should not be walking amongst us, which, you know, I informed him, you know, I'm a camarada. So I'm aware of everything that happened and anger got the best of you because there's that familiar angle with the homie. But you bring this up, it's going to be the end of your career, you know, and it happened to the dot. But the sad part was, even though the homie was just defending his pride, I tried to stick up for him and Psycho felt disrespected, right? Because one of his workers had been removed behind homeboy, then playing around, right? So he requested for Shadow be removed, and at that point, you know, as you guys know, I was a coward. I didn't have no words, so but to follow what I was told to handle, right? So, you know, 2 homies got on him and just estuvo, right? I remember I did see him a couple times and he tried to tell me like, hey, see, you know, como aquí que, or, you know what happened? And I just told him, I told you, homie. But homeboy didn't want to listen, you know, there's nothing I could do. I got 3 different appeals from 3 different people saying, take care of it. You know, that's why, when I say be smart, I also mean when you go inside and, you know, they try to drag you into horseplaying, cause getting too familiar with camaradas inside in that aspect, things come out. And it ain't like what you see out here, you know, people calling people out their names without having the proof behind it. You know, there's certain individuals on YouTube thinking they're Superman, that there is papers and kids on them. But, you know, that's besides the point, right? And that's just to answer everybody that always asks me, you know, if I ever did time or know about an individual. Yes, I know of him. But, you know, it's best for me to pay my respects, right? Because I don't have that. That's why I'm real careful to speak of what I personally seen and lived through. Because it's real easy to be that he said, she said. For example, you guys see the warriors that come on here. They say they're super sureños and they're honestly way more out there than pesetas I ran across, right? And if they truly put themselves out there, just for the fact they're on speaking out their nigga, so they would be done. But you know, I just wanted to touch on this that I've been asked. You know, at the end of the day, I want to put this or state this, you know, just be smart. I know we're human beings and we're impulsive for under emotions, right? But you know, that's another big enemy of ours, our emotions. That's why it's always better to stay ahead of oneself. And everybody's gonna be like, you're an idiot, right? You just currently went out there and you allow your emotions to get the best of you. Yes, and I admit it. And believe me, I've been requesting to please show me my wrong, right? Because it's what always has taken me down a spiral, right? I could sit here and say it's because the lifestyle I lived or went through. Now it comes a certain point where you know better. Cause I know better. And you guys know I don't push no type of religion, but I am walking with a higher power. In my case, it's Jesus, right? And I should know better. Instead of doing something and next thing you know, being worried and asking, but did I hurt him? Did I hurt him a lot? Please tell me how it happened because I don't recall it and it's wrong. So just be smart, not only in the angle of getting lied to, but in controlling oneself, the different aspects that present themselves in life. Just be smart. It is why I stay away from other races, even though I was there, but I don't know the intel's right, so I don't want to speak out of pocket, right? With respetos. But anyways, mi gente, yesterday's video, I used a lot of the pictures I already had saved up. As you guys know, I haven't been well, so I just wanted to touch this angle to answer out of respect to those that have been asking me. So I send my love. Please stay true to yourself and always loyal to your loved ones, to those that deserve it. Buenas noches.